Thanks for joining in. This is flight number 17. I'm out here in San Bernardino up at the Marshall's launch. Behind me is Crestline, and I'm looking down here at Andy Jackson Flight Park. This is a beautifully built out and super developed flying site. Got this great ramp at Marshall's. There's a shuttle service up. I mean, you pay money for it, but at least it's organized. And a nice takeoff there. Again, loving the new glider. Loving the new harness. I still gotta figure out exactly how to get zipped into this. I should probably wait till I'm a little bit farther from the hill, I think. I mean, I'm plenty safe here. And just, it's so crowded. You see all those other paragliders flying around. And I see a few other hang gliders during this flight. So still getting that zipper figured out on the harness. And I'm trying out the phone up on my base tube this flight. That way I could hear the varimeter from my phone a little bit better. I have a Blue Fly varimeter on the way from Australia. Excited to get that when it comes in. But for now, this is what I'm working with. We can see that my takeoff altitude's around 3,900 feet. I don't get a ton of lift on this flight. We see a few peaks down there on the chart, but still a great one. And so for this flying site, you got to take off as a beginner, H2. So I'm on the radio with an instructor down at the flight park, Dan. And just love this golden hour lighting. So I'm on the radio with him. He is in contact with me the whole time, and I have to take off after 5 p.m. I got up to the top at the top of the shuttle here. Probably could have taken off, but I was like, I'll play it safe.
Oh, this is amazing. It's so beautiful out here.
Wait for the wind and lift to die down a little bit more. But now I'm ready to go and got my little card that I carry around that says I can't fly between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. during daylight savings.
Wow. What a spot, man. This is sweet.
And just cruising around. Absolutely love the lighting here. Flying close to golden hour is just magical. Everything looks so beautiful with the shadows. You get a lot more texture in the ground, as well as just that beautiful golden color. And so one really cool thing about this San Bernardino area in Andy Jackson is there's just so many other pilots. Like, you feel like you're actually doing something that's popular for once. Unlike in other places I've flown where it's like, okay, like we're just like scrounging around, like there's no one doing this.
It's weird there, man. It's great.
Like here, it's like, wow, like this is an organized thing. There's a lot of people doing this, and it's just a good feeling. So I'm really excited to get back out there this coming weekend and get a few more hours in. And once I get 10 total flying hours, which I'm getting actually really close to, I think I need like 3-ish more hours, 3 or 4 more hours. So ideally, I will launch from here another time and closer to 5 p.m. and maybe get like a 30, 40, 50 minute flight in, hopefully, and string a couple of those together, and I'm pretty much there.
There's a lot of pilots out here. That's crazy.
So I'm just out here scrounging around for lift. Didn't find a ton. About to come up on a little pocket of it, as we can see in the graph. Let me know your thoughts on the graph. I coded this all up in Python. I think I mentioned this in the last video, but once I have it a little bit more refined, I'm going to throw it up on GitHub, and I'll put a link in that. But that'll probably be another month or so. A few other things I want to figure out. But just like to have a free alternative, because it took me so long to realize that there's no way to get good graphics unless you build it yourself for free, because everybody's got a dang subscription, or they want you to pay for this graphic generation, and it's so simple. I mean, I did most of this coding in ChatGPT and did not take that long, like maybe a day or two, and so it's just ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous. Shame on you developers that are charging $100 or $10 a month for software to take this GPX data and put it onto a graph. Like, shame on you, honestly. Looking at you, telemetry overlay. And it's so cool here. There's so many other people in the air. It's cool, and like, you know, it's an added layer of stress, and since we're not really thermaling a ton, it's less stressful. If I was actually getting a ton of lift, I'd really have to be like watching out. The pilot below in the thermal is supposed to have the right of way, but you get crowded areas and different skill levels, including mine, and you can't assume that. So you got to keep an eye out above and below as best you can. Impossible to really look above in the hang glider, but as you're circling, you can kind of get an idea of what's going on above you. So that's Devil's Canyon Power Plant over there. Pretty cool name. I've seen some great videos of a bunch of pilots in this area, and so glad to get out here. It's a little bit of a drive for me with traffic, but without traffic, not terrible. Food's pretty good in the area. And again, this you'll see at the landing, but this flight area is just absolutely amazing as far as the facility and resources that are here. Absolutely love it. So there, I'm messing around with the cleat a little bit for my angle. I ended up going down some. Like, I tried to go down and didn't like it. Love that shot with the side profile. Didn't like where I was, and then I raised it back up. I mean, for perfect aerodynamics, I'd be dead flat, you know? So minimum frontal area. Minimize my drag effect. But it's not the most comfortable. Like, the human body doesn't like to just be like traveling forward, staring straight down. That's not how we're meant. We're meant to be straight upright when we're going forward. And so even just having a few degrees up past just like that vertical angle adds a lot of comfort, and it's just, you get airsick way less easy. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep rolling with that. I'm not in any competitions. I'm not here trying to have fun. And I like to be comfortable when I'm having fun. So this whole time I'm kind of looking around for other pilots, but also I'm looking for this landing feature. And so it's these two diamonds. There's a red one on the bottom and a white one on the top. They're relatively large. Hopefully I can find a photo of one. If not, sorry. Behind them there's a log. And what you do is you fly out south towards the LZ, so kind of left of where I'm looking right now. So to my left, to the LZ. So flying in about this direction right here, much lower and closer to the LZ. And then you look over your right shoulder or your left shoulder, depending on where you are lined up to it, and you can see it. And basically it's like the angle that it makes lets you know your relative altitude. And so when you get in between the two diamonds with the pole as you're looking at it, that means you're at a good altitude to come in and make your final approach. So for me, I was like, dude, where is this thing? I thought it was bigger, actually. It's still large, but it sounded bigger when it was described to me. I ended up finding it, and I'll point that out when I see it, but just kind of want to talk about it now. Super cool feature. I have mixed thoughts on it just because, well, it is nice. If you only flew with that, you would probably have terrible gut intuition about the altitude relative to the LZ. And I know it confuses a lot of, like, I've talked to multiple pilots where they're like, dude, this thing sounds really confusing. I will say, after having done it and found it, I did find it super helpful. And honestly, just giving it a shot, I don't think it's that confusing. Like, it makes sense once you're in the air looking at it. But the explanation of it can be a little bit hard just because you're looking at this little tiny, like, diorama of it. And it doesn't quite like add up. Like, I understood the concept, but like actually doing it, it like really clicked and was super helpful. So that's a cool feature at Andy Jackson Flight Park. So not my longest flight to date, but scratched out a little bit of lift. And as we can see, as my altitude has dropped, I mean, we're a solid 1,500-ish feet, maybe 2,000 feet above the landing zone at takeoff. So super great place to fly for a beginner. We can see a hang glider coming in there. It's fun to see someone on approach. And yeah, it's just great when you have the altitude. One really nice thing about Marshall to Andy Jackson is you could probably have I don't even know, like 1-to-2 glide ratio or 1-to-3 glide ratio. Very bad glide ratio, easily still make the landing zone. I actually don't know this as a fact, but I would hypothesize that there has never been anyone who did not make it to the landing zone because of the conditions. Like, you would need such a strong headwind coming right at you that you should never launch in that situation if you were worried about, like, if you launched in that headwind, that's on you for launching in the headwind. But if you launch with the safe headwind, you are guaranteed to safely make it to the landing zone here. At least that's what my brain tells me, because you have so much altitude compared to not a lot of distance you have to travel. Unlike Eliminator to Lower Parma, where I learned to fly for my first, 10-ish flights. And so having that experience of kind of harrowing, you got to have a pretty good glide out. Coming here now, it's just like, oh wow, like this is very chill, I can make a ton of mistakes. Would prefer not to, but I could and still be totally fine. Unlike that Eliminator to Lower Parma, where you make more than 1 or 2 mistakes, you're probably coming up short and landing somewhere you don't want to land. So definitely a much more beginner-friendly area. And just with the community and number of people here, much easier to just pick up advice. So there's me looking for that indicator. I think I did end up finding it finally. Took a while to spot it, because again, not as big as I thought, but still pretty solid. And there it is. So circled it for a sec there. We can see it in both those views, and now I'm locked in on it. And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm in about the right altitude here pretty soon. And so I'm messing around with my zipper, making sure my legs are ready to come free. Super important thing for, coming in for landing. Don't want to be unzipping on the final approach. Gonna want to get that done well in advance, so I'm not worried about popping my legs out, because I do not want to land on my belly if I don't have to. So taking a couple quick peeks back over at that indicator. Coming in over the training hill here and just trying to figure out. So the approach on this one, I'm trying to end up on the left side of the grass there. Whoa. And the paragliders land on the right side. So coming in here. Big thing for me, I started out with my hands high and I was like, okay, but I'm going to put them back up. Really wanted my hands high on this one. Push out, nice strong flare. I could have actually even maybe stood up a little straighter there. And yeah, I'm extremely stoked with that landing.
Woo, thanks for the help.
I can't remember my third from last landing, but my landing in the Owens Valley was also really nice. And so pretty happy having 2 back-to-back, like solid landings where I felt like I had pretty good fundamentals. And excited to take these lessons learned and just kind of continue improvements onto the next flight. And maybe get my hands higher and flare even stronger and not even have to run and just kind of set it down. So super happy with the flight. Thank you so much for watching. If you're like, hey, it's been a while since I saw a video, what's been going on? Just ding that notification bell. I've been dropping them, fam. They've been coming out. So give it a like, give it a subscribe, hit the notifications if you're still around. I'd really appreciate it. as well as you'll stay in the loop. So there it is. J to the Griffs is out. So just wanted to do a little bit of an outro here. This is me putting on my harness up at the top. Only hang glider setting up. A little bit of an unnerving feeling, especially being the first one there. But I talked with Dan on the radio. He's like, hey, there's some tie downs. Here's it from another view. Really like the view up here. The hills are beautiful and green right now. And then here's the long-ish walk out. And so this kind of gives a perspective of being at the top of that hill. I got to walk all the way down to that ramp. And wanted to get a quick hang check in. So in a second here, I talked to this guy here in the black shirt. Didn't catch your name, but thank you so much for the help if you're watching. If not, shout out to this guy. He's the homie. And yeah, there it is. Got a little blooper at the very end. Have a great day.
Jack. the hang check. Could you help me out real quick?
Yeah.
I'll just have you hold just kind of up on the nose of the glider by those nose wires. I'm just gonna practice hanging down so you'll just like feel some weight coming.
Okay, so what do you need me to do?
Just stabilize the glider so it doesn't tilt up or down.
Okay.
And then yeah, just like hold on the keel piece.
Right
yeah.
here? Okay.
Yep. Okay, I'm gonna go for it. Okay, sweet. Should be good. Thank you. Thanks.
For sure. I always wanted to see you guys take off.
Yeah, I'll be way down there, but yeah.
Hey, what color is your glider?
I got blue on the very front leading edge, yellow behind that, then a patch of white, and then yellow on the trailing edge.
Okay.
And I'm looking down at crest line